Right, so we are interested now in diffusion plus reaction in a semi-infinite domain. So now we know this means that if there is a finite slab of thickness h, the h is so large compared to the time of interest and the diffusivity that I can consider it to be a semi-infinite domain. So it's the same problem for which we had a self-similar solution earlier, that was indicated by the length scale and time scales being unspecified, except for the fact that they were related to each other. But now we will see what happens to that relationship between length and time scales if I introduce a linear reaction. Linear just for simplicity, but the same ideas will hold for nonlinear kinetics. Okay, so the equation of interest now, I'm writing the unscaled equations first. Right, so there is an unsteady term, the diffusion of material, and you have consumption because of a linear first order reaction. The system is the same, so C is C naught at one wall, and then you basically you're unbounded here. You're going towards infinity as x proceeds into the material. Okay, but in the bulk you have a consumption by minus Kc. So the boundary conditions are C of t equal to 0, comma all x is 0, C of 0, the concentration at any time at 0 is C naught, and the concentration at any time but x tending to infinity, I say is 0. Okay, so these are the boundary conditions. Now let's scale the equations, just as we had done before. So because we've already done it, I won't belabor the point. So we have, C characteristic we can choose as C naught almost immediately, and because it's a linear equation, the C naught will come out from every term and cancel. So I'll just get rho C by rho d tilde, but I have 1 over a time scale here. The concentration scale getting cancelled from all these terms, as I said. You have d rho square C tilde by rho x tilde square, so you have the length scale coming out here. Right here, it's an unbounded slab, so there is no depth with which to choose LC. Right, so it's unspecified. Now at this point in the previous problem, we had nothing else, no other information. Time scale was unspecified, length scale was unspecified. So all we could say is that the length scale is related to 1 over square root of the time scale times diffusivity. So it was unspecified, but the problem would always relate the current length scale to the current time scale. That's how we got the self-similar solution. Now, however, we have another term, minus k C tilde. And you see, because of this term, things are going to change now. So what we now first have to do is, because we have multiple terms, decide what's the dominant thing. So here we are going to say, okay, that let's say that diffusion plays an important role, or we keep the diffusion term, because that's how material is even entering the domain. And we multiply throughout by L square by D, LC square by D. Okay, LC square by D times TC, right, is equal to now the diffusion term minus K times right. And so you see now, instead of being unspecified, we now have two groups. And the first group involves only LC, and it gives us a natural choice now intrinsic to the system, determined by the reaction rate. So whereas in the previous problem you had, as time progresses, material diffusing into the slab at an increasing distance. So the longer you wait, the further the concentration will just keep entering the slab, because you have a constant source at x equal to 0. In this case, however, even though you have that constant source of material, it is being consumed by the reaction. So there is only a finite depth to which the concentration can penetrate, after which basically all of it will get consumed by the reaction before it can go any further. So the presence of a degradation reaction naturally gives rise to a length scale, which is the kind of depth to which it can reach before the reaction consumes all the material that's diffusing into the slab. And what is that length scale? Let's call it, so if I'm going to say LC is going to be the reaction diffusion length scale, which is given by square root of d by k, where k is the first order reaction constant. It has units, as you know, of 1 over time, and this is length square over time. So you just get length square, and that square root gives you a length. So you set LC. And now similarly, if you know the depth of the system, you have the length scale based on the reaction rate. You now know the time it would take for concentration to reach the maximum length it can penetrate to. And that time would be given by setting this quantity to 1. So my time scale, which I can call a reaction time, which for reasons you will see, is d by k dTc. Is given by this. So basically Tc is equal to Tr is equal to 1 over k. So that's my time scale, and this is my length scale. So just by introducing a reaction, we completely change the nature of the problem. It's no longer a self-similar problem. At least the scaling tells us it's no longer a self-similar problem. Instead, I have a fully scaled set of equations where diffusion and reaction proceed together. Sorry. So this is what I get if I choose Tc to be equal to the reaction timescale Tr, and then I of course have the boundary conditions . Okay, so this is a unsteady reaction diffusion problem which I would have to solve to determine how the concentration changes with time and space. But what I do know is that, well, initially I start with 0 concentration. As time progresses, concentration will penetrate into the slab, but because it's being consumed by the reaction, it can ultimately, I expect it to reach a distance into the slab that is set by the reaction diffusion constants, square root d by k. But this means that eventually I should reach a steady state, right? Because unlike the earlier problem where I didn't have reaction, there was no steady state. It would just keep penetrating until eventually it would see the far boundary and leave the regime of, the self-similar solution, as I showed in the DNS. But in this case, because you have the reaction, we expect it to reach a steady state where diffusion, the supply of diffusion is counteracted by consumption from the reaction. So I can then ask how long does it take to reach steady state. To determine that by scaling, I should scale my characteristic time scale should be not Tr, but again T observation, the externally imposed measurement time scale. In which case, if I do that, instead of taking T characteristic to be the time scale of reaction, if I do this, you can already imagine what's going to happen. Right? I will get Tr upon Tc just a sec. So yeah, if I put Tc to be T observation, right, and I recognize that Lc square by d is basically Tr, right, I will just get Tr upon T observation. So what this implies is if Tr, so it's T observation, is much greater than Tr. So if the time at which I'm looking at the system or the time of interest is much greater than the reaction time, then I will hit steady state, where the governing equation would just be a balance between diffusion and concentration. Right, and you can show in this case there's in fact a simple solution to this for the given initial conditions, that is just going to be exponent of minus x tilde. So this basically has a solution as e to the power, e to the minus x as well as e to the plus x, but e to the plus x diverges as x goes to infinity. So we that solution is not that possible homogeneous solution is thrown out, and our only solution is here. So in dimensional terms, it's like c naught exponent of minus x by the reaction diffusion time scale. So what you really get is an exponential decay as a steady state solution, and the length scale, which in this case is the distance over which the concentration, let's say, drops by 0.6, drops to 0.6, as you know, is given by the reaction diffusion time scale. Reaction diffusion length scale. But even if you couldn't solve this numerically, analytically, you still know that LRD is the appropriate time scale for the penetration depth, and in this case you're just seeing its relationship to the concentration profile analytically. Okay, but numerically you would also be able to see this, and we can come to that. We will come to that in a second. Okay, now so what I'm going to do next is I'll show you a direct numerical simulation of the full unsteady problem, so we can appreciate that in contrast to the pure diffusion problem and how this reaction timescale comes in. But before I do that, let's address a question that might be bugging you. So remember, the similarity transformation has always been introduced to us as a mathematical technique, right, to solve a PDE, to reduce it to an ODE. And we know that it works for some special class of problems, and in some it doesn't. Here we are seeing physically why that happens. So we already understand why it works for the pure unsteady diffusion into a unbounded domain problem. So why does it not work when I introduce a reaction? Well, we now see mathematically you can know why. Let's first see that, just so that because we've seen physically why, right? Physically, if we scale the problem, we see that the introduction of a reaction introduces a length scale, which is the reaction diffusion length scale, which also sets the time scale separately. And so as a consequence, there is no longer this relationship between the length and time scales as the solution proceeds. Right? You have a fixed length scale and a corresponding fixed time scale. So that breaks that self-similarity in the problem. What would happen mathematically is the following, right? If we start with dou c by dou t is equal to dou square c by dou x square. Let's forget that, let's say diffusivity is 1 for simplicity. Let's start with this problem. So mathematically, to apply the transformation method, typically you say let my time be stretched like lambda time, and let my space coordinate be stretched by as lambda to some power a times x. So you're kind of guessing that if my time doubles, my spatial position should also increase, not necessarily double, but to some power alpha, to some power a. So then I substitute that in these equations, and then I use a chain rule. So this is the new x and x tilde, and let me not use tilde, t hat and x hat as new variables, which are related to the old variables by a simple stretching. So what will I get here? I'll get and dou t hat by dou t, which will just throw out a lambda. Similarly, I'll get dou square c by dou x hat square, and I'll get two factors of lambda to the a the whole squared. Right, and now if I balance powers on both sides, because lambda is arbitrary, that I can change its value for these terms, for me to be able to basically lambda is not 0, right? I can give it any value. So the only way I can recover the original equation, which is the meaning of similarity transformation, is that a is equal to 1 by 2. Right? Then I can cancel lambda on both sides, and I'll recover the original diffusion equation. So that's how I get lambda a is equal to 1 by 2, and that implies that the x must go as square root of t, right? Or if that's the transformation, and then based on this I can set my similarity transformation variable. However, when I introduce the minus c here, because of a reaction, you would have just a minus c, and there would be no lambda associated term, right, and no way to generate it also. Even if I said that c goes as lambda to the power b, right, I would get c, just c sitting here, sorry, c lambda by b, right, and the just a sec. Yes, so it would it would not really help me, because I would get lambda to the power b here, and this would imply that and I'd also get lambda to the power b here, lambda to the power b here. So it would tell me that b plus 1 is equal to 2a plus b is equal to b, right, because all these terms I should be able to take out the lambda factor to be able to obtain the original equation. So the first two will tell me that b must be 0. It doesn't make it doesn't make sense. Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, so the looking at these first two, you will see that b plus 1 is equal to b, right? So it will get 1 equal to 0, which is a contradiction, which tells you that this method cannot work. So mathematically, if you try the similarity transformation when you have the reaction term, you will reach a contradiction, which will, I mean, you realize that, okay, I cannot use this method, but you don't know physically why this happens. But physically, we now understand that similarity transformation cannot work because the introduction of a reaction actually introduces a length scale, which is this reaction diffusion length scale. And physically, we also understand why this happens, because you now have a sink of a material which limits how deeply the concentration can penetrate, and even at very long times you will just reach a steady state concentration. And I mean, you reach a steady state profile where the depth of penetration is only the reaction diffusion length scale, and if this reaction diffusion length scale LRD is much less than the thickness of the slab, then we can for all time describe the solution just as this exponential, which has been obtained by considering the problem as a semi-infinite unbounded domain. Okay, so let's see how all of this plays out in a numerical simulation. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, so this is reaction diffusion now with the linear reaction rate. This TR, time scale of reaction, is just 1 over K, scale concentration by C naught, and X is scaled by the reaction diffusion length scale, square root of D by K. And you see, as time proceeds now, concentration is penetrating into the material, but then it eventually reaches a steady state, it stops penetrating further. And at steady state, you can see that you basically have an exponential decay, and the length scale typically is basically exactly 1. I mean, this is what we saw analytically, is the reaction diffusion length scale. So the overall penetration, no matter what you want to choose, let's say concentration level of 0.2 or even 0.1, the penetration to which the material enters, the depth to which the material enters the slab, is some order 1 multiple of the reaction diffusion length scale. At the same time, you can see that the time it takes you to reach steady state is also pretty well given by some order 1 multiple of the reaction time, 1 over K. So by the time you are about 2 times the reaction time or 3-4 times, you are basically unchanging in your profile and you reached steady state. So again, you see how just by without solving the problem, even if you didn't know the solution analytically, you can predict what the time scale, I mean, you can predict the time it would take to reach the stationary profile, and in that stationary profile, what would be the depth of penetration without doing any calculations, just from simple scaling. Okay, so before I end this lecture, let's discuss one interesting application of the fact that the presence of reaction along with diffusion generates a intrinsic length scale. Okay, so one of the great mysteries in biology is morphogenesis, that is the spontaneous development of patterns and forms in embryos as animals develop. So the main issue here, of course, is that let's say consider the example I'm showing you here is of a fly's wing, right? So when an embryo is developing, it has to set the position of the wings relative to the body, but it also has to decide the size of this wing. And if in the development stage the wing doesn't develop properly and reach a proper size, then the insect cannot fly. And the same holds true for where the wings are located. So it has to know at what position in the body to place the wing, right? It should not be too high, it should not be too low. And this is true for all other organisms, including human beings. So how is a biological system able to measure length? That is one way to pose this question, right? It doesn't have an external ruler or measurement device. It has to get the system has to be able to figure out distances using processes internal to itself. And one way it does this is to use reaction diffusion of a morphogen. So the classic example is given by this paper in Science in 2007, where they actually measured gradients of a morphogen protein, DPP, which they tagged with a green fluorescence marker. And so they were able to see concentration as intensity of fluorescence of light, of green light. So the source of this, so what the embryo does is to release the morphogen on the wing. It releases the morphogen at a certain site, which is at the center of this panel here, panel B. And then that is the source of the morphogen, and then the morphogen concentration decays as it diffuses and as it gets degraded by a linear reaction. So you can see that the intensity of the green light decays as you move away from, let's call this x equal to 0, the center. As you move away from the size of release or the source, it's decaying. And it's decaying and it reaches a steady concentration. So if you wait for long times, you basically reach a steady state. And that steady, and you know that's happening because you have a degradation reaction. So it doesn't keep penetrating forever. So now if you measure this light intensity and plot it with distance, you get the following profiles. And if you take the average, it overlaps with this black line, and this black line is basically the exponential analytical solution that we obtained, right, at steady state. And you see that it works extremely well. And more importantly, it shows you that the biological system actually uses the physics of reaction diffusion to set the length scale for itself to determine where to position various parts of the wing. So this is one way by which the system can measure length, and in this case the length scale is on the order of 10 micrometers. Okay, now suppose the wing has to, it's like having a ruler of the size 10 micrometers. But if it wants to do processes on much smaller length scales, it needs another way to have a small length scale. So the simple thing is to have another morphogen which has different parameters. So either it's something that diffuses more slowly, or which gets degraded more quickly, or that means its reaction rate is higher. In that case, you would have a much quicker decay of the material, and you would have a much smaller length scale coming out of reaction diffusion of this other morphogen. And that's actually what does happen in the fly wing. So these guys showed DPP is the morphogen you saw above. There's another morphogen tagged WG, which is called the wingless morphogen. And that you see, if you look at its intensity versus space, it leads to a much smaller length scale, basically a length scale about half. If you look at the panel B, shows you the time it takes for this profile to develop if you start from 0 concentration, like we did in our simulation. You see that the DPP, which had a much deeper penetration, also reaches steady state much faster, whereas the wingless guy takes longer, quite a bit longer to reach its steady state. And you can, so the reason these differences are coming in the length scales is really seen here in the measurements of the diffusivity and the rate constant. So you see that DPP, the red guy, has a double diffusivity almost compared to wingless, and it has a reaction constant that's about 1/5. So totally the quantity D by K is about 10 times larger in the case of DPP, or square root of D by K is roughly 3 times as large. So you can see that the length scale square root D by K should be 1/3 in the case of wingless, or 3 times. So the red guy has a length scale about 3 times that of the blue guy, roughly speaking. And the time scale, remember, goes as 1/k. So the guy which has a much smaller k should take a larger time. and well, you can't really see it here because they are both scaled differently, but I mean that's how I mean it's, I think, reasonably clear when it comes to the length scales. So even this fact that using a different morphogen, the kind of length scale you should expect, you can already estimate it from the diffusivity because we know the length and time scales from scaling. Okay, so before I end, remember I told you about, I mean, what I done is for a linear reaction, and in that case you could get an analytical solution which was in the form of an exponential. So you can always say, okay, maybe these length scales that we estimated from scaling are working well because it's a linear equation. Well, let me take nonlinear kinetics now, where the reaction rate is not minus kc but minus kc squared. For clarity, I'm going to show you a simulation where the blue line is the linear reaction rate solution and the red dotted line corresponds to a nonlinear reaction. I use the same scales as before, even though in the nonlinear reaction the scale 1 over k for time is not right, but we'll set that aside for the moment. I'll just show you this. So the same solution for the blue line is the same as before, but now I'll show you the case of a nonlinear reaction term. So what you see is the nonlinear, the red dotted line which is nonlinear, reaches steady state much faster and it has a smaller length scale. So this is actually to be expected because if you go back to our equations and scale, the fact that you have minus k c square will lead to a different reaction, different length and time scale. That's what I show here. So the time scale in the linear kinetics is just 1 over k. I'm sorry, it's not k, it's 1 over k. And the time scale for the second order reaction is 1 over k c naught. Because now k doesn't have units of 1 over second, it has 1 over second over concentration. Similarly, the length scales are not square root d by k, but in the nonlinear case, the second order reaction kinetics, it's square root of d by k c naught. Okay, and I've chosen parameters, I've chosen c naught such that k2 c naught by k1 is 10. Another way of saying this is if I take k2 and k1 to be equal, my initial concentration is 10. So now if I look at the evolution of the system, you see that they are closer together for longer. And although the final profiles are a bit different, you can see that more or less the penetration depth, again to within a factor of order 1, is reasonably predicted even for the nonlinear case. Although here the scales are going to be different, as is to be expected. And you can derive these things by going back to the equation where the reaction term is kc square, and should be able to show that the time scale is 1 over kc naught, because c will be scaled by c naught, and the length scale is now square root d by kc naught, and I leave this to you as an exercise. Okay, so by way of summary, what we have shown today is we've taken these reaction diffusion problems and we've seen how scaling allows us to predict the time it would take for us to reach steady state, be that a uniform profile or a profile with some decay. We've also been able to estimate the length scale of penetration of concentration in cases where it's not determined by the thickness of the slab, because the slab is something that's very, very deep. We've also shown how in the latter case, where you have a very deep slab like an infinite domain, in the case of just diffusion, you get a similarity solution, and how this can be anticipated by scaling. But then if you introduce a reaction, why that breaks the similarity solution by introducing a new length scale, which now governs the problem. And we've seen one application, one place where this kind of length scale, physically determined length scale, becomes important in the case of these morphogen gradients, and how biological systems use reaction diffusion to basically devise a ruler for it to decide how to develop an organism during its development stage. So I think with that, this lecture comes to an end, and I will see you in time for our next lecture. And I hope that by this time now you have now developed a good idea of scaling, its uses, and how to apply it. and this will be useful for us now throughout the rest of our course, where we will use scaling as a first step to identify the physics of the problem, to also identify which terms are small, and then we will derive approximate solutions using techniques called perturbation methods, which allow us to obtain approximate solutions when a parameter is small but not exactly 0. And we will take that up from the next lecture onwards. Thank you.